Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So I noticed one of the biggest barriers that people have towards their own personal growth, whether it be physical or mental, is the aversion, the desperate avoidance of suffering. People hate to suffer. That may sound like an obvious statement, but it really is a major flaw. If you spend your life trying to avoid suffering, if you spend your entire life looking for convenience, for things to be easier, you'll end up soft and weak. I mean, think about just the Hollywood stereotype image of the child that inherits his grandparents' money and becomes a millionaire that way. I don't need to give examples because we've all seen that in the media before. That person usually grows up and has to do nothing in their lives. They have no real life experiences. They have to go out and pay for life experiences because everything's been handed to them. They have no real struggle. We look at that as a character flaw. We don't worship the silver-spooned children of billionaires. We usually laugh at them for being inept and inadequate in almost every way. It's just a good lesson to learn. It's a good idea to think about going through struggle in order to grow rather than avoiding struggle, constantly avoiding it. I know people that, and I've been this way, where you spend every waking hour as if this is your life's mission. This is what your life is about. The meaning of life is to be happy. But happy is a mental state. And you can be happy even when you're going through bad times. It's hard to avoid bad times if you go through your life thinking that at some point you're just going to be able to find calm waters, and somewhere that calm ocean is out there and you're going to find it, and when you do, that's retirement, that's paradise. You'll try to enjoy that for as long as you can and then you'll die. It's a fantasy. It's like chasing Moby Dick. It's just this futile effort, because life is always going to throw problems at you. It's always going to be hard. It's always going to be a roller coaster. There's always going to be a struggle. There's always going to be what we call suffering, uncomfortable environments, physical pain, mental pain, loneliness, loss, all the various aspects of suffering. We're all going to go through those. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it for your kids. You can't avoid it for anybody. It's going to happen. And when you have kids, and if you're a good parent, you train your kids, you teach them to, when they do go through things in life, that life isn't over. It doesn't have to be a near-death experience. They don't have to feel like they're so out of control, even though bad things can happen. We've had a tough year. Everybody has, in the whole world, with this pandemic. And then we have the various aspects of just regular life that happen to us anyways, but it may feel like it's a little bit worse this year for a lot of people. A lot of people aren't really handling it well. You can see around you, some people are pretty strong when they go through various forms of suffering, and some people aren't. It's frustrating to watch people live such easy, comfortable lives, and then when something does happen, whether it be physical pain or mental pain, that they break down, literally cry on the floor, just not knowing what to do, act like the weakest little babies. And I see grown adults that do this, and it's such a shame, because there's a person who has never had to push themselves. There's somebody who really doesn't know how to react, and you can't control the world like Mickey Mouse in that cartoon movie where he puts on the wizard hat, and I just can't remember the damn name of the movie, but it's a great movie, Fantasia. You know, we don't have powers like that. So it's really how you react. You know, you can be put through the worst of it, I know a lot of guys that went to prison, that went to federal prison, and that are doing life. They'll never get out. Some people, they don't just simply tolerate or survive, barely survive. Some people don't survive that environment. Some people thrive in it. And it's not they would rather be there. It's that nothing can stop them from being happy, even the worst cases of suffering or oppression that are going on around them. You can see warriors that do this. They can be in war zones where there's bombs, explosions going off all over the place, death everywhere. And they can remain calm, they can remain stoic, they can still get a laugh and a chuckle in, and and navigate their way through the worst case scenarios without really experiencing extreme suffering, whereas others may be having mental breakdowns, on the floor crying, shell-shocked. I've seen this myself, where I ended up with a certain level of PTSD from the amount of violence that I saw in the streets, the amount of murders and deaths that I saw. I saw a lot, a whole lot. Even one will mess you up. I saw so many, it just got to be ridiculous. And, I found myself feeling very weak, feeling very triggered all the time and messed up in various ways, and kind of just wondering, why did I get PTSD off of that experience when I know others around me who didn't? Not everybody reacts the same way, and I was envied those people that didn't get it. That they somehow went through the exact same thing that I went through. And they're fine. And it just goes to show that, our brain can let fear take over. And fear can be a horrible master and can lead you down to the pits of hell, literally. Especially if you're already somewhat weak inside and you don't have any way to fight it. People that can navigate war zones, the people that can navigate these mental states that might send some people to kill themselves, but they do fine through it. They're able to endure the suffering. They're able to react to the fear in a different way than maybe I've reacted in my past. But it takes practice, and you can learn. So when you go through cases of suffering, when life hits you with some hard stuff, and it's going to hit you, it's going to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, it will. You'll be ready. You'll be able to go with the flow, to not just simply give in to it, but to be able to fight it and navigate those waters. When you're sailing through the ocean, the best sailors aren't the strongest people that can pound the waves out of their way. It's not what sailing is. You learn to navigate the waters. And it's still scary for every sailor who gets far enough from shore. I don't care how big of a boat you have, that thing can be pretty little in that ocean. Rip it in 2 or 3 pieces. But a successful sailor can trot along anyways and keep going. Trust his instruments, trust his tools, trust his wisdom. Trust the knowledge that was taught to him. So if you want to be able to have a good life, have a successful life, to sit on your deathbed and be able to look back and say, okay, this was good. This was the best life I've ever lived. It's not to have the easiest, most convenient life. It's not the person who has been so wise and slick that they can find the easiest path. That's not it. The easiest path doesn't exist. It's the people that have learned to react to the bumps and bruises, to the ups and downs. It's the people that have learned to navigate through those rough waters. Instead of drowned in the ocean, they learn to surf. All of a sudden, that same scary ocean can be amazingly fun. So, learn to surf. Learn to surf through the suffering It'll make you stronger. It'll make people stronger around you. It's really the meaning of life. It's the key. That's it. That's what you're here to do. Not just endure it. Not just get through and on your deathbed have that final breath and say, Lord, take me. This game sucks. I hate it. That's not it. That's not how you go to heaven. You learn to endure it. The Buddha talked about this. That's why Buddhism is actually an interesting philosophy. I don't really call it a religion. You can be a Christian and still be interested in Buddhism. Whereas, some other religions you have to become devout just in that one faith. I'm not here to try to promote Buddhism. I just think it's interesting because we're talking about suffering in Buddhism. They talk all about suffering. I mean, that's the key. That's part of their Four Noble Truths, their Eightfold Path. A lot of it is about how to endure suffering. This is the enlightenment that the Buddha talked about. It was not to teach you a magic spell like some Harry Potter crap that all of a sudden you can just give an incantation and you become this blissful idiot dancing around just loving everybody. That's not it. It's to endure the hardships of Babylon, even while Babylon burns and falls. And you can still be happy. You can still be kind. You can still be loving. You can still have an amazing life. There's all kinds of ways that you can learn these tricks, and you don't have to go through the most extreme suffering. If you've had a good life and you've never really had any kind of hardships, no hard physical pain, no major ailments, you've never had anything really, really extremely messed up happen to you, you've had a pretty good, easy life, you can still learn these lessons. This is one of the reasons why I talk about exercise so much, especially training with weights. There's all kinds of other ways to learn this, but physical exercise is a great way to learn about suffering, about pain, about overcoming it, about treating yourself well in recovery, about rest, the importance of all these put together, and about how you grow. And you grow through a process of inflicting pain. You're literally inflicting harm on yourself. You're working out with these weights, and the way that your muscles grow is you literally tear your muscle fibers. But that's not exactly what grows you. It's not the tear. It's not the pain of that. The next day you experience this soreness. The next day, I've been so sore that I could barely crawl out of bed. I have to crawl on your knees to the bathroom. When you first start working out, it feels like that's the worst part of it. Now I look forward to it. If I don't get sore now, I always wonder, well, did I even get a real good workout? So I'm looking for the soreness now, so I don't avoid it. And then you have to rest. You have to treat yourself well. Once you've done your part with the enduring the pain, even though with working out it's self-inflicted, that's not it. It's not the end of it. You don't just wait that out, hold your breath and say, okay, well, when this is over, I'll get back at it. That's not it. You have to give yourself enough period to rest for those muscle fibers to heal. Rest includes sleep. It includes eating. It includes being happy. And then when you feel 100%, you don't just plateau and say, well, I did that once. That was an experience and that should do me. You go right back at it. And you do it again, and you do it again even more. You go heavier. You rip yourself just a little bit more. You eat a little bit better. And this is how life is. This is an analogy of life. It's not just simply working out. I'm not just talking muscle talk. This is life. So this is all just food for thought. Don't avoid struggle. Don't avoid suffering. Dive into it. Learn to surf it. Don't drown in it. Thanks for watching.